Let's be real, chasing Google traffic feels like a losing game recently. If you're done playing by their rules, here's how to create blog content that gets clicks without relying on rankings. In this video, I'll show you how to use Koala AI to quickly create listicle-style posts that are perfect for linking from Facebook or Pinterest. No keyword stress, no waiting around for rankings, just fast, useful content that you can actually use to drive traffic today. Let's jump in. So we're going to create a listicle on this keyword, crazy things in Japan. And we can see that there's already content on Google, 22 seriously weird things in Japan, 10 weird but amazing things that only exist in Japan. There's a Reddit question there, 30 things. We can see that there are lots of listicle styles ranking. We've got YouTube videos, but this is a perfect piece of content that we can create to get traffic from Pinterest and Facebook. If we get some Google love, that's fine, but that's not the purpose of this. Now, for me, the best way to create these listicle style articles is to use Koala Writer. So we're over here inside of Koala, and I will leave a link below for you to check this out. And I'm going to quickly walk you through how I set this up and then what to do once we've got our outline before we press create article. So once you've logged in, make sure you're over here at Koala Writer, and then we've just got some boxes to fill out. We're going to ignore save presets. Projects you can set later, but they're not important at all. Then we've got to choose our AI model. Personally, I prefer to use Claude 3.7. Now, these are sometimes updated, but right now, this is the one that I would use. And we are going to choose a listicle from the dropdown. So we're going to put crazy things in Japan. Now, as for the numbering format, that's up to you. If I open this up, I'm actually going to choose none because I think it looks better on the post. As for the list prompt item, I don't need a lot of words, so I'm going to go with approximately 100 words. Now, Koala AI doesn't stick to this perfectly, but by putting it as 100, we're not going to get too much fluff added to each thing. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to leave this on. Internal linking, you need to connect your website for this. I'm going to leave this off for now because a lot of people watching this may not have their website connected. I'm not going to be using any AI images or YouTube videos. I think for certain niches and topics, you shouldn't be using AI images, and travel is one of those. Now, as for tone of voice, there are a few things that you can do. We open this up. You can put a custom tone of voice or choose one of these. To keep it nice and simple, I'm going to go with casual. I'm from the UK, so I leave my language as British English. I'll leave US as the target. I prefer second person. Now, as for this, I want to turn this on, real-time data, and I'm going to turn site sources off. I'm then going to turn this one on and this one on here. Now, there are advanced options, but we're not going to worry about these. We're not going to just try and make this more difficult than necessary. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to click on Create Outline. And what Koala is going to do is it's going to give us an outline, but we don't have to accept it off the bat. So let's hit Create Outline. And this can sometimes take, 1 or 2 minutes. So I'll pause the video and I'll be back soon. So we've got our outline, we've got an introduction, and then we've got all of these things that are considered, crazy things only in Japan. Now, I've lived in Japan for 25 years, so a lot of these things have become somewhat normal to me. So I have to remember back when I was new to Japan, which of these things would be strange and which of these things are actually real things and they're not just something that's, maybe happened once a long time ago. So what I recommend you do is you don't just accept this, you go through and you either edit it, and if you're not happy, you can refresh the outline. Now, a lot of these things are fine, but I don't think onsens are, that strange. I don't think cherry blossom festivals are crazy things. It doesn't make sense to have a cherry blossom festival as a crazy thing in Japan. But what I'll do is I'll open this one up, click on the edit icon, double click and delete everything. And I'll just put something like love hotels, which may appear a bit unusual for people that are visiting Japan for the first time. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to remove some of these and edit some of these that I find that are a bit generic or a bit boring or things that are not going to be that interesting to my readers, such as Shibuya Crossing and a few other things. So I'm going to pause the video and then I'm going to come back when I've changed the outline. So I've made some changes. I didn't want the article to be too generic like all of the other lists out there, but I also wanted to ensure that there were certain things on here that I could use to link to other places on my site. So now I'm happy. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click Write Article. And now I just have to wait for Koala AI to write the first version of my listicle. Now, of course, there's nothing stopping people just using this as is, but to me, I think we should make a bit more of an extra effort to make this a slightly better article. So again, I'll pause the video and then I'll come back when it's done. So now we can see that we've got our introduction and then we've got our article here, our listicle. But what I want to do first is click on polish. Now I have all of these checked by default. It simplifies complex sentences, converts passive to active voice, reduces repetition, etc. So I'm going to click on Start Polish, and basically it's going to rewrite the article and make it a little bit more succinct. But again, there are still some extra steps that I'll want to take once this is done. So again, I'm going to pause and be back in 2 secs. So now the article has been polished, we're going to click on Copy, HTML, which is going to copy it. We're then going to go over to a third-party tool called Hemingway. They do have a free version, but I'm on the paid plan because it incorporates AI and it just speeds things up, and I'll show you how. So we're going to paste the whole thing in here, and we can see that this has a grade readability of level 8, which is fine. 13 sentences are considered hard to read, very hard to read, 19 are hard to read. There's a spelling or grammar issue, but that's generally related to UK and British English, so I'm not bothered about that. And these things are totally fine for me. So I just want to go through these sentences that are graded as read, and I want to make them, not read. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right to the top, and if we just click anywhere on this red sentence, we can click on it, we can click simplify it for me, and we can see if this new version is better. Japan is full of quirky attractions and customs. From blue traffic lights to islands with rabbits, there's always something unique to discover. So if I click use suggestion, it's now gone from red to yellow. But I'm actually going to remove that sentence completely because I don't think this is relevant to my article. So we're just going to do that. I'm then going to go through first, and I'm just going to click on all of these red bits and click on simplify it for me, double check, and then I'll hit use suggestion. This is just to ensure that there are no sentences in my article that are very hard to read. And once I've done that, I'm then going to need to check it manually because I think it's really important if you're leveraging third-party tools to proofread stuff. It's going to be grammatically accurate and it's going to flow well, but you want to make sure that it's factually correct. And if you don't know the subject matter, you can't do that. I know this subject matter, so I can go through and I can remove things, and I can also just double check for things that just don't sound natural or the way that I would say things. So again, I'm just going to go through and simplify all of these things, and I'm going to be back when I've done that. So again, I'll see you soon. So I've done it, but I do find that there are certain things in there that just are a little bit too AI, and one of those is these dashes or hyphens, and AI loves to overuse these. So I'm just going to change this and just change it into a comma, and I'm also going to go through and double check and proofread everything. Like, I've lived in Japan for 25 years, and while this might be true, it's not something that I think is something that I'm aware of, basically. So I'm going to get rid of that. I don't think that needs to be there. And again, we're going to go through and just double check that there are no hyphens. It's factually correct. I'll probably add my own summary or wrapping up section to it at the end. But again, it's just a case of taking time and putting that extra little bit of effort to double check things. And there are certain words that, AI might use that are giveaways. So again, look, another hyphen. Next time you visit, keep some coins handy. We can just change that into a period or full stop. Change that. We'll go through, but you get the idea. Now, once you are completely happy, what you can also do, and this is an option, but you can copy the whole thing once more. So let's copy this and just make sure that there's no, plagiarism, because we don't want to be doing that. We use AI to save time and to make life easier, but it's not to plagiarize other people's content. I'm also going to get rid of that sentence because I don't think it's necessary. So what we'll do is, again, I'm just going to copy the whole thing once more. And then once we've copied it all once more, I'm going to head on over to Quillbot. They've got a plagiarism checker, but if you want to use Copyscape or Grammarly, it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to paste this in and I'm going to hit scan text, and it's going to come back after a while. Now, bear in mind, continue scan. There are certain words and phrases that may be fairly generic that it might pull in. So only make changes if it's clearly, obviously plagiarizing somebody's content, that's on the same topic. Just use a little bit of common sense. So again, we're going to pause the video and be back soon. And there we have it. Look at that, 0% plagiarism. So we are good to go. And from my experience, articles that have been generated through Koala AI have never come back with any form of plagiarism. And I've checked a variety of different tools. So I'm really confident that this is an accurate score. So all I need to do now is take this article, put it into WordPress, format it so it looks nice, and perhaps choose some nice images. Now, I've got content on my blog already, which is related to some of these things. So I've got images already. These are photos that either I've taken or my photographer has taken. We've got a photographer for this site. And if I really can't find a photo, we just don't have access to one, I will use a paid stock photo. So I do not recommend that you just, use AI for this kind of stuff, because with travel, people want to see the real thing and they don't want to be tricked. I'm not anti-AI images at all. I think for some niches, they're great. I actually have one website which is all AI, but this is not one of them. And this is something where I think it's really important to show the real deal. And please use common sense when applying this method. You do not need to have listicles for every article. You do not need to use AI for every article, but this is a great way to continue pumping out decent quality content without staring at a blank screen or spending hours on every single article. So I hope you got some value from this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll leave a link below if you want to check Koala AI out if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you in another video soon. Take care.